Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Hawkins, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Ed Carbajal, and our podcast is brought to you by allaccessmma.com. This week, we bring back one of the Combat Hour OGs, the Menifee Maniac, Fernando Gonzalez, right in front of the cage as he prepares for his next bout on August 28th. Menifee Maniac, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Just getting done with some rounds, and actually the guys are in here still sparring. I'm in the cage right now, and they're getting their work in while we're doing this interview.
That's crazy. So I don't know how much time you have, but it looks like you got a fight coming up August 28th. I know this is the second time you've been able to compete since the whole pandemic started. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just it's been rough, I mean, we haven't been able to fight or anything, but I just had my fight recently. It's in like 2 years against Ty Freeman, and it went well. I got a third round stoppage, 14 seconds into the third round. So it was a great fight, great comeback fight, and this is my second fight of the year, and I'm ready to go. So I'm looking forward to this fight and putting on the show.
Is this fight coming up with the same organization, or is it just another company from Arkansas or in Arkansas?
It's breaking up. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear that.
Is this the same organization that you fought with prior, or is this a different one?
It's the same show. It used to be Cali Cage Wars. They switched it to J Street Fights for the show that they were throwing the first one. It's West or Northwest Fighting Alliance, name of the show now. So I think they've just been upping their venue, and that's the name that they settled on.
So how does it feel to be back, fighting again and with everything going on? Can you just take us through what happened with you while everything was going on, not being able to compete?
Sorry, I'm fixing something real quick. Hopefully this one.
And we seem to lose him there.
There he goes. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you guys good now.
Okay,
right.
Ed, why don't you go with that question again, see if you can get
All
that.
right. I don't know if you heard my question, but I was just wondering the downtime with everything going on. Like, can you just talk to us since, because you've been on the show a couple of times and we haven't really had a chance to catch up. So can you just catch us up to like how you handled everything up until you're able to start fighting again?
Just being a martial artist, I guess, you're up and downs. We have a couple fights here that got lined up, and then I think it was like 5 fights maybe that I had that I don't know if they even got the name, but they were like, oh, possibly this guy, and they would fall through. So after a little while, it was just more about getting better as a martial artist and just doing it because I love it. And irregardless, I was in here every day. So I was just trying to get better. And after the 2 years, it was definitely worth it to get in there and fight. I think it was like Sam Alvey went through like 3 camps. I think it was even before Dominic Reyes fought John Jones. So it was like 2-3 fights prior to that. I was in camps with helping guys get ready. So it was a long time, and last fight was definitely worth the wait. And I'm ready to keep going and steamroll through this year. So as Sadea Parker is my next guy up, and I'm getting ready for him.
Is this also at 185?
It was at 85. I had it scheduled to 195 for this one. I just the cuts are getting harder, but we actually got sick for a little bit, so kind of slowed down training. But so yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was healthy for the fight. They agreed to it. We're a month out from the fight, so they were happy with it, and we're good. So 195 is this next fight.
Did was so you is your contract with ACA? Did that expire? Is that moved on, or did that just kind of get put on hold with the travel restrictions?
No, it expired. We finished our fight with them. Then after that, I was kind of burned out of traveling a little bit, so I was more trying to stay in the States. Kind of, it's the fights out there are fun, but it's kind of hard for anybody to get to watch them. So a lot of my fan base and stuff like that was kind of dying down. So I was like, I better give my fans some fights locally, So family, friends, and stuff like that love to come out and watch me fight, they're able to again. So that was mostly the main reason, and I get to stay closer to home.
Yeah, you just mentioned burnout and stuff like that. So I'm wondering with the time that it was hard to train in the camps that you were helping out other fighters' camps. I'm wondering, did the downtime or somewhat downtime for you do you any good as far as like your rest? Do you feel like your fight better now? Let injuries recover and things like that?
As far as recovery, a lot better, but the burnout's still kind of, you have to give yourself time, like a day or two, 3 days, a week, maybe even off, just to make sure that you get the juices flowing again. Because I mean, that many camps, even though I wasn't fighting, I was helping everybody get ready. So like I said, Sam Alvey fought 3 times. Reyes, I think he fought twice or 3 times as well. And plus the other guys that are in the room, Jared Bandera fought 2 or 3 times. So there's a lot of camps that I was in, big guys, so after a while you start to get burned out a little bit. So I just made sure I gave myself like a good week or, a couple of days off to make sure that I felt good again to start sparring and training.
I don't know if you saw the news from over the weekend. I went to the Cage Warriors event down in San Diego. Right now, we don't have a lot of San Diego kind of Temecula-based events right now like we used to in when you came up. I don't know if you saw, but they're planning on doing 6 events a year at Humphreys now. So that might be something that you and your team could. I think it would be great to get into that. And it looks like they're trying to put a U.S. team together to go to London and fight all their fighters. So could be a cool situation to open up because we don't have a lot down here anymore. There was a day it seemed like we had so much.
Well, we definitely have the talent. There's so many guys, but I think it's just the commissions. It's really hard to kind of pay the commission that much money and still be able to pay the fighters. So I think that's the biggest problem that we're running into right now. But for these guys to be able to do that for us, that's great. If we can get on the cards, but
yeah, exactly.
I put my name in when they first announced it, but they didn't get back to me. So keep moving, keep training, and I got this fight. So right now, this is the one that I have in mind, and hopefully down the line, I'll be able to fight with those guys and bring something closer to home, So, like I said, my fan base is in California. So if I can bring 100 plus 200 people there, it'd be great,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they just had Bellator in California, the Cage Warriors that Matt just mentioned, and this coming weekend there's Lights Out Extreme. Is the Sean Merriman's promotion is returning. It's another opportunity for you. It just seems like combat sports hasn't really, if anything, of all the sports, it didn't suffer as much as other sports did with everything that just went on. So I'm wondering, in your eyes, does it seem like there's more opportunity now versus 2 years ago?
Again, it's really, there's a lot more opportunity, but it's also who like you have to have the right managers, the right management, or just know the right people, because it's not that easy to get on some of these cards. But I think if you have the right people backing you or kind of making those calls for you, then it's not too difficult. But I've always kind of done things on my own. So management wise, it's kind of been me on my own. So it's not very easy to get a fight unless I have the right numbers. So that's kind of the thing that I'm running into right now, is that now that I want to manage myself a little more, I need to have the right contacts, I guess.
Absolutely. So how many of you guys from the gym there are going out to these fights? Is Jesse Taylor still training with you guys? Is he on the card fighting Seth Baczynski? Is that fight holding up? Do you know?
As far as I know, yeah, he's training. He's out in Poway area.
Mhm.
We've bullshitted back and forth saying that we're gonna train together for this one, but we still haven't. But and he's a longtime friend and training partner, so he's family. So anytime we get together, it's gonna be rough but fun.
So with the I mentioned that Lights Out show that's coming, that's this weekend. That's their first event back after everything going on. And I spoke with Berryman, who said he wants to sign more talent because he wants to put on more shows. Have you been in touch with any of those people at all?
Like I said, I haven't right now. Just I've been more focused on this fight since I already have this one signed.
Okay.
But I mean, I definitely would. Like I said, I'm from Cali, so the more I can fight in California, the better it's going to be for me. I get to have my fans and friends come out and watch me. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in. I just right now my main focus is Sadiya Parker right now.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. You've been around a long time. You're coming up on your anniversary of your 18th year of fighting. At least as a professional. I'm sure you had some stuff maybe prior to that, but you debuted at WEC 8 in 2003 on a card with a bunch of other big names in the MMA world. I know it's probably going to be impossible over that time, but we've had you on the show and I've never really asked you. Is there a moment that stands out in your career right now as like when you think about your career, you were to tell anybody about your career, write a story? Is there a pinnacle right now, not looking into the future, but you've dealt with right now? Is there a moment you look back and it just always makes you smile and it's something that jumps to the top of your head?
Definitely the Parisian fight. That was one that I was since I was in King of the Cage Gladiator Challenge, and I felt disrespected by him. Was one of the goals that I had set for myself, to make sure that I was in it long enough to get to him and to knock him out. And that was the one that got me, the most. But as far as the overall martial arts, just more recently, one of my students that I was training for a long time, Luis, he's over at Cobra Kai with Joe Stevenson. Joe was supposed to be cornering us and everything, but they pushed back Sam Alvey's fight to a month, so he'll be cornering Sam. And Luis, who I used to train, he's one of my students, will be cornering me and being my cornerman for my fight. So it's just kind of crazy that fighting and starting as long as when I did. He came up under me training with us at Team Quest, and now he's one of my cornermen. So it's kind of cool. It's I mean we do that, I guess, a lot, but never in that sequence where it's an actual student of mine that be working with me like this. So it's kind of cool, and I'm loving it that I'm still in and I'm still wanting to fight.
Outstanding.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, that's actually, it's cool. My instructor was saying something, with the way martial arts now, it's not, now you're just teaching your students to eventually be able to beat you. But so with the fight you got coming up, what do you know about your opponent? What can you tell us about him? Like, as far as how you match up against him?
We're actually very similar build. He's 5'9", I'm 5'9". He's a righty, I'm a lefty, so it's mirror image. And he likes to box, so I'm primarily a boxer, where I started with boxing. So I see a lot of hands in this fight. Obviously, I've mixed it up with my kickboxing and my jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So it's always something that I have, to fall back on if I need to. But I love to stand, so him being a striker and me being a striker, I think it's going to make it exciting. And then we're co-main event, so I definitely want to put on a show before Jesse goes out there and gets his win.
Is what's the world like out there in Arkansas? A little different than Menifee around here. Do you enjoy that part of the country now? Was that your first time there?
It was, it was very similar to Oklahoma. I think they're actually next to each other where we were at. But yeah, I mean, I loved it. I'm kind of more of a spiritual, I guess, fighter. So I sage myself and cleanse my spirit before I go out and say my prayers. And obviously for him and myself to walk in and out of there safely. But obviously for me to get the win. But I like to clear my energy. So for me, it's very green, very quiet, and it's a good environment for me to fight. I loved it. I loved it.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's nice. It's nice not to have to travel so much too to get to the fights these days.
Yeah, maybe I think it was maybe 7 to 12 hours or something like that, where I was doing like 17, 19 hours, and it's a long time to be in a plane.
Heck yeah.
Especially and then fight after all of that. I mean, it's got to be tiring. So I'm glad you're at least able to fight back home. One question I got for you. Bellator, you spent a lot of time when you fought at Bellator. You actually beat a lot of their names, and now they have a ranking system. So I was just wondering, when that came out and you saw where guys were ranked, did you have any feelings about it, or did you have opinion on it at all, or were you just focused on your own thing?
Not really. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, I think their rankings is kind of, it's just, I mean, it's good, but it's maybe a top fives, I would say is what they, as far as rankings go, but I don't know. If I was in it, I would say maybe 3 or second, but I don't know. It's been a while since I fought with those guys, so
yeah.
I just think I'd still beat everyone else.
Was there you had your 2-year layoff? You had your last fight. You got the TKO, the finish or the knockout early in the third round. Was there anything in that fight that you came back to the drawing board and said, I need to work on, or anything you felt like you had slowed down or missed a step after your 2-year layoff?
The 2-year layoff, I think it was you get that. I mean, some people say they don't get jitters. I definitely do. My timing was off a little bit. It didn't help that the cage was super small. I threw maybe a jab cross and he was on me. He had already shot and he was on my legs. But I mean, it made the fight exciting because I also made the cage closer. So I was able to get to the cage. He was actually really smart. He was knee riding me and trying to play that game. But like I've been in this sport a long time, so most of the guys that try to beat me is by trying to hold me down. So I kind of already had a game plan for him if he was going to do that, and it worked out. It was first and second round. It's still a gamble because obviously I'm losing on points. If he would have got that third takedown, chances are he probably could have won. So I had to play the fight game, my game, where I got to wear him out if they try to take me down or hold me, and break him down enough so that way in that third round I could finish him. And that's exactly what happened. I was breaking him down. He was really trying to hold me down, so he couldn't really hit me. And I just left him open for me to be able to land and him not be able to. So it was his sacrifice to hold me there or to let me go and get up, but he didn't want to strike. So, and then obviously third round. So he proved me right.
Is there anything about you just mentioned how he tried to hold you down? Do you ever think that because of the experience you have in this sport that folks maybe I don't want to say already know your game plan, but do you think there's any predictability that you're bringing against opponents like you have coming up on the 28th?
For sure. I'm a striker, so the thing is if I'm striking and I open up, this is the like a problem I have with MMA, but the reason that I love it is because if I just go out there and I fight my fight or I'm striking, I don't care if they take me down. It makes the fight exciting. Yeah, he might take me down and hold me, but if he's holding me down and I'm out landing him on bottom,
Yeah.
in a real fight, I'm winning that fight.
Yeah.
In MMA, I'm losing the fight because he's holding me.
Yeah.
So that's the dilemma that I kind of have to go with, but know that if I continue to throw and land my strikes, more likely he's holding me and not throwing anything. I'm going to wear him out. And by the third round, I'm going to knock him out. So that's the game that I have to play in order for me to let my hands and feet go the way I need to make it exciting, you know, to make it the fight that I train for. And you'll see with other fighters that if they fight too cautious, they don't throw their strikes that they want, and they get taken down anyway, you know, and then they don't know how to fight on bottom. So they're always just struggling to get back up. And against somebody like Khabib or those guys that wrestled all their lives, you know, someone like myself, we're probably not going to just get up that easy.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have to work your strikes, break him down a little bit, and you know, hopefully that you had enough ground experience with the wrestling and stuff like that to be able to get up and continue to fight. So that's kind of the game that I go in there with. I know that if I put, obviously with Team Quest, we have high-level wrestlers that if I get these guys putting pressure on me 15, 25 minutes straight, or 30 minutes straight in the fight, that's a 25-minute fight or 15 minutes, I'll be able to get up and be able to finish. And that's kind of the game plan that I go with. So I don't take away from my fight. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. And it's shitty that they judge the fights that way.
Yeah.
I think it should be an overall.
Yeah.
If you're holding him down, you're not landing anything, then the takedown shouldn't count more than a jab or a jab cross. It just went from a standing position to a ground position. We learn MMA, we learn jiu-jitsu, we learn strikes for a reason, you know, so we can actually fight on bottom.
Yeah.
And I think they're watering down the sport by every single time they get a takedown, they're automatically winning. And I think they take away from us as fighters being able to show the things that we can do by implementing the rules that way.
I think that's slowly starting to change for the better. Bellator this past weekend had a couple fights where they gave some rounds to the guy that was getting taken down, and it seems to be shifting for the better. So it's not just that rare occasion where it's a Gegard, Musasi or something like that who beat the hell out of somebody.
Even UFC had a couple of those calls. I don't know if you saw that. They were commentating on that Cormier, and they were like, I don't know about this call. And I was like, it kind of like I could see when you're used to going round for round, but when you were watching the fight, they were kind of judging the fight in the overall. Yeah. Like who was exhausted at the very last round, who was doing the most, who was pushing to get that last round win. The first two rounds were almost like washed out, and the third round was the most important. And I think that really should be what fighting is. If we have 15 minutes, then judge the whole fight, not just round for round, because I mean the guy might be good, but if he's got heart and he made it to the third, and it could be a 10-8 round, and you got to draw. He probably should have won.
Yeah. So I mean, in your opinion, I mean, because I was actually going to bring that up too. I'm glad you brought it up. How do we fix it? Like, how do we educate the judges better? Do they need to come from fighting themselves? How do we fix it?
I would think so. Like I would say, like a Chuck Liddell, he's the stand up and ground guy. Because right now, even when they commentate, it's mostly ground fighters commentating on striking. So then they're more biased on a certain situation. Boss Rutan. He's a striker who does both, who's done both. So that's another good judge.
How about Dan Henderson?
Same thing with Dan. I mean, I don't know if he'd be into it, but I think Dan, he might favor wrestling a little more, but no, I mean, he's a striker. He likes to bang too. So I think he's a little more fair and more open, but like I said, it's more on not judging the takedown so much, unless they're actually doing work with it. Khabib takes you down and he's beating your ass. He's punching you, making you turn position so he can choke you out. So that style of fighting, that makes sense. That guy's winning, and because he's fighting. But you get guys that take you down and they're just holding, and they probably lost 4 minutes out of that round, and then they got one takedown and they won the round. So things like that, I think, is what needs to change. I don't think that's fair. If one guy's winning striking, and even though they were, he didn't knock him out, he's clearly winning the striking. The other guy got one takedown, and that's what changed the whole dynamic of the fight, supposedly. Yeah, he did nothing with it.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's funny that you bring that up, because that was a hot topic for at least a day or two after the UFC event you're referring to. So I'm glad it's nice to hear fighters like yourself. Like Chris Lieben, I know, is an official now. He's talking about doing some judging, and he's got a striking base. So it's kind of like I don't know how long it's going to take to get more people that are seasoned in the sport, because the sport's still young.
Yeah, Frank Shamrock, those guys are all well-rounded guys who I think they would be great at that, but we definitely need MMA guys, because, I obviously this is my fight, but like every time I fight a striker, I'm a striker. I grew up boxing all my life, so instinctively, if the guy's taller, they're like, he needs to go inside. And they automatically start marking me as losing the fight because I'm not walking in. If you see most of these shorter fighters that walk in on top fighters, they get knocked out. It's because they don't know how to fight from the outside. They need to know. They need to know how to box, in and out movement. That's what striking is. That's what boxing is. Boxing's from the outside. That pressure style fighting of a Mexican style, that's more of the brawling style in boxing. It's more of a brawling style, get in, pressure. Boxing is your outside movement, footwork. So that's the actual boxing, So I grew up boxing and learning that style as well. So I can fight a tall guy. Am I more in danger? Yes. But if you're comfortable fighting there, then you're really not in danger if you know how to fight there. And that's the problem what I run into with some of these commentators. They're automatically giving me a loss because I'm not walking in. So fans are hearing this like, oh, he's not walking in, he's automatically losing. And that's a problem, because it's like, no, I can strike from the outside.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys aren't even landing. I'm landing them, getting in, getting out. And they're saying I'm losing because I'm shorter.
One more quick little topic then, while I got you here, that's been a hot topic on our show and around some of the fight world. Open scoring. As a fighter, we've had most people have been really pro open scoring. What's your opinion on knowing what the score is going into each round of the fight?
I mean, it's good and bad. For the fighter, I guess it's good because it's like, you're winning or losing, so you better go after it if they let you know that you're losing. So in that sense, it's good. But it also could be, like I said, you probably won 4 minutes out of the round. They took you down for 1 minute, and now, fighting is emotional, so you don't know if that's going to throw a fighter off, If he thinks he's up 2 rounds, now all of a sudden he has to rush to win the fight, and he could possibly get knocked out. So I don't know. It all depends. For me, I would probably want to know. I would want to know just. But I'm always in that boat anyway, so it's kind of like I always know. I better go back. So it's just the way it goes, I guess.
So real quick, where can we watch August 28th? I mean, how do we get outside of going to the website, which I entered it while you were finishing up there, NWFAMMA.com. Is it streaming anywhere? How can we watch the fight if we can't get to the venue?
You can go to Northwest Fighting Alliance website, and they'll have their link up for the pay-per-view.
Nice.
Awesome. Do you have any sponsors you want to throw out real quick for your upcoming fight?
Yes, I do. Trident Fight Gear. Bam. So yeah, they're I'm in here right now getting that working, and they've been helping me out a lot. Team Quest, CVAC, as far as the plastering, my buddy's construction company, and R&R roofing, and R&R heating and cooling. They've been helping me out, sponsoring me, getting me ready for this fight, or allowing me to stay in the gym so I can get ready for the fight. So thank you guys, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody, and I'm getting ready for this fight, so I'm going to put on a show for everybody.
Well, we definitely look forward to it. That's August 28th for the Northwest Fighting Alliance in Bentonville, Arkansas, on a card that looks like a nice little Saturday afternoon card. So fans, definitely check that out. Follow Fernando Gonzalez on Instagram or Twitter to keep updated on everything he's got going on. Follow the show at Combat Hour on Twitter, Coast to Coast Combat Hour on Instagram. You can follow me, Matthew Hawkins, at MMA Hawk 21 on Twitter and Instagram. Check out Ed at Carbazol on Twitter, Carbazol on Twitter, Carbeerzol on Instagram, Old Head Carb on Twitch, and always check us out at allaccessmma.com as Fernando gives us an inside look of the Dan Henderson training facility out there in good old my hometown, Temecula, California.
Real quick, Fernando, where do folks follow you at?
At Menifee Maniac on Twitter, Instagram, at Menifee Maniac. So we're in the cage right now, getting it in.
All right,
awesome.
Cool. Enjoy your workout, sir. Good luck to you.
Appreciate your time, Fernando. Have a good night.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.